stay tuned and then discover Africa with us.
You seem hungry. Good thing your table is ready with Saturday Omaha.
Saturday Omaha.
Eat this.
Hey, this is Dave with Saturday Omaha, and we are sitting in studio with two wonderful guests, Chef Jamil from the House of Bah Foundation. Chef, how are you?
Doing all right, Dave. Thanks for having us.
Awesome. Well, welcome, and it's good to see you again. And our other guest is wearing a hat that is outclassing my hat by like 10x levels. So, and that's Joubel Teko.
Yes.
And Joubel, how are you?
I'm doing great, Dave. Thanks for having me.
How'd you guys meet, and like, how'd you get together?
Well, Chef and I met quite over 10 years ago when I used to do African Experience at the Hasselum. We used to do pop-up event where we celebrate the culture through music, art, and so on. And the chef joined us by making food, delicious food that people really love, which then elevated the experience that we have over there. Yep, that's how we met.
So last time we had talked, so we've talked about House of Bah Foundation.
Yes.
I was very blessed to attend a meal that you put in your graduation dinner. I love the diversity that I've been able to be involved in with you, just meeting you, and then this graduation dinner, and then Afro Fest. And you had contacted me, and you're like, "Hey, Dave, are you going to Afro Fest?" And I said, "What's Afro Fest?" I'm like, I'm totally in, but what's going on? And then Joubel, we had talked off mic a little bit before. It turns out Afro Fest has been in Omaha for 6 years.
6 years.
As of 2024. And this was my first time attending. It was held at Heartland of America Park. How'd this get started, and what's it all about?
Well, so Afro Fest, Afro Omaha, the company that myself and the co-founder Judy founded in 2018, so 6 years ago, came to life out of a lack of, the celebration of the culture here in Omaha. So we saw the need for it. So we were like, okay, we need to create something. Yeah. And if I want to go back a little bit, I traveled to Chicago. And I witnessed and celebrated the culture there through Taste of Africa in Chicago. Oh, awesome. Where a lot of countries were represented through food. So we're like, wow. I reached out to Judy. I'm like, man, we have to create something like this in Omaha. Yeah. So out of that, instead of just doing food, we thought, okay, let's expand it a little bit and create something that is more, inclusive for everything else. Yeah. The food, the music, education part of it is also important because a lot of people just hear Africa and they think it's just homogeneous, but it's actually a lot of countries. Right. Represented like over 54 countries. Yeah. The youngest one is South Sudan, out of the continent. So through that, we started Afro Fest in 2018. We started in Akzaben, Simpson Park. We were there for 5 years. Yeah. And just recently, we just moved to Heartland of America.
Yeah. And Joubel, you had mentioned that it was, much more than just food. And let me tell you, the food was really good. Like, let's be clear there. But it was very cool because when I got there, Chef Jamil, you had one of your coworkers or somebody from House of Bah. You're like, hey, we've got this passport thing, and take Dave on a tour. Like, take him on the passport. Yes. So tell me about the passport, and then I'll kind of talk about my experience a little bit. But like, what's the passport?
So what we did for this year is we were based in different locations, and one of them was the Children Education Village Center, which was funded by Lozier Corporation. Shout out to Lozier Corporation, Lozier Foundation, actually, Lozier Foundation, Lozier in general, And the idea was to educate our kids. So we came up with a passport, and then the passport will take you to different tent, and then those different tents had a partner that we were working with. We had the African Immigrant Family Services, we had All People Pantry, we had Synergy, we had other vendors, and then and the goal for us was to get the children to be able to go to those tents. As they get there, they get a stamp on them, and they then finally come to the House of Bah demo spot where they get a free donut. That donut's called Puff Puff. Not only they can get it by just participating by filling in passport as a parent, but they can also get their hands dirty. We were teaching them how to make that puff puff, which was a way for us to get the kid to just know a bit more about the African culture. Something, because a lot of people think Africa doesn't have sweet. And the puff puff, as they call it in Nigeria, but the coin in Togo, is something that's very sweet and very subtle. It's the really the equivalent of American donut. So that was the idea of it. So by you just going, it says they travel to your puff puff, but the idea was for you to discover all those other partners that we were mainly in the children education village center.
The immigration assistance spot was really awesome, and I thought that really kind of dovetailed nicely with what House of Ba does as far as helping immigrant chefs get their start in Omaha. So there's that assistance. That was very cool. And then the pantry was also kind of neat. They had like a quiz game there.
Yes.
And by the way, I won my quiz game. I got a nice bag of plantains. And so the quiz was, okay, pick one of these things and identify where it's from.
Country?
Yes. So I did not choose the bag of masa because that was too easy. I did go for there was some Indo ramen.
Okay.
Now I will say, and I did tell him, I said I'm going to cheat a little bit because I have a friend of mine that's from Indonesia, and he introduced me to that specific. I've had that ramen, so I'm like Indonesia. And he's like, so. But anyway, it was kind of neat because there were all types of products, and what a great way to help a family feel at home,
welcome
exactly in their new home, because it's like, I can have this thing, you know.
That's what I like about Our People Pantry. You know, Peters does a good job. He just doesn't give you. We know how hard it is to feel like home when you're here initially. And other pantries, you know, shout out to them. You know, it's good that you give people food, but like I said, Dave, if the food on the table does not look like the people that we have around your community, then we miss it out. We don't have the true diversity. So Pastor Peters just does a good job with the Our People Pantry by providing everyone, not only immigrants, but everyone, a way to discover all the food. Imagine somebody go to a pantry and then they're giving them something from the country. Just because you get here, you don't know how to shop, you don't have the means, and you go there, you get that. And imagine us also teaching people about how to not only use food from your country, but also to adapt to the food that you have right here. That's why we work together. That's why for me, I thought that with Afro Fest, we cannot have Afro Fest without bringing those. You know, that's why I reached out to Pastor Peter for Our People Pantry. I reached out to African Immigrant Family Services to be able to come here, synergy, for us to come to Afro Fest and showcase that. Now you going there and anyone else going there will discover that. That's why we need Afro Fest. It's the one platform, one day, one place for somebody to just go and immerse themselves into African culture, food, art, music, everything, the history. And then I can't say it enough, you know.
A couple of the threads I wanted to pull on from that conversation. One is, Jamil, you had said with the pantry, being able to find ingredient substitutions that you might be able to use to make a dish that you need to make, but you can't find the ingredient. What I love about that is when you and I were talking about the House of Ba graduation, and you had a group of like 11 or 12 young ladies that were, you know, graduating chefs. And part of it was you had to help them realize, you know, we don't have this ingredient, but you can use this. Or maybe it's just called something different, like cilantro versus coriander or something like that. And then in addition to that, like serving things in a different style, maybe they weren't familiar with. And so I like that the pantry can provide that service. Exactly.
It ties in together, you know. I think you're referring to what we call our immigrant culinary integration program. And Joubel is familiar with this because he's on the board, so he knows that's how we work so tight together. So the symbiosis, right? The synergy between somebody going to the pantry, getting something, and being able to even come to our class or come to one of our program, and then be able to learn all that. That's what's important. And we're offering this. We're all trying to just make it easy for new Americans that are here, and also make it easy for Americans to understand new American.
Absolutely.
Right? To be able to connect that. And that's the whole point for us. That's why I'm so glad that you came, because a lot of people listen to you. He's a guru. When Dave says something is good, people will listen.
Do you guys know, like, roughly how many countries were represented, or regions of Africa, or maybe some highlights that you want to bring up?
Right. Yeah. Like Chef said, and, shout out to Hassoba Foundation again for bringing the educational piece to Afro Fest again this year through culinary, because it's very important for those families coming here and, just feeling, you're discovering themselves and also feeling at home, right? So going back to your question, Dave, I think all the region were represented at Afrofest. The North, we see some Eastern African, we see some Moroccan, we see Somalis, we see West African. I'm from Togo. We're both from Togo, but the Nigerian were there, the Burkina Faso, that Adama, Kenya was there. So almost not... I wouldn't say all the countries, but all the regions were represented at Afrofest. And you can see it in the children face, in the children educational village, how they just, like Chef was saying earlier, one day where everybody can come together, and also bringing the coworkers, like, hey, this is my culture, come celebrate with me. And, once you're in you mentioned Midwest, where we don't always get that opportunity to showcase the culture, share the culture through art, music, and food. But one day where everybody's together, like my son is 17-year-old, he's born here, right? His mom is American with a Cuban heritage. Him bringing his friend to the festival is just a beautiful thing. So here, this is my culture, and him rediscovering this culture at the same time with his friends is just amazing.
And Dave, the video about Afrofest is that it's free for kids 12 and under.
That's wonderful.
So you don't even have to struggle to bring your kid. And they decide to do that because it's about the next generation. It's about those kids that are born and don't know much about Africa. Come celebrate. You saw dances, right? You saw people perform with drums. And you, like you say, Immigrant Legal Center, Middle African Chamber was there. There's so many other organizations that was there. Metro was there as well. So the goal for Afrofest to really, really give opportunity to, like I say, new American and American here to come together to rediscover Africa through food, music, art, and then to just really understand us. And then just like we say in the Midwest right here, what is the better thing than being able to know somebody through the culture? Right? You had my food before, and then you've seen it, you understand it, but now it stops right there. If you just come to a restaurant, if you go to Lalibela, if you go to Shama, if you go to Okra or Muna, you're just having the food. But when you come to Afrofest, you're getting the culture, you're getting the people, you're getting the music, the vibe, the art. So that's why, to me, I think next year we have to come here 3 times before Afrofest happens. So we'll let the listener know that just come down.
100%.
Come discover something different, something unique, right? It's like open museum. And then it's even more fun than going to a museum.
Because it's alive.
It's alive. It's very vibrant. There's fashion. There's jazz, and it's the African culture, and there's also the Afro culture at large. So the Afro diasporic communities at large, going all the way to we see the Brazilians, the Portuguese, and that melting pot gets celebrated at Afrofest. That's why we call it Afrofest. The first year we call it African Cultural Festival. Then we discover, the Cuban, the Colombian, the Caribbean, Haiti, we all share that African heritage. And although they're not in Africa, they still share that culture. That's why it's Afrofest.
Jamil, you had mentioned dancing and music. One of the first things that I experienced, like right when I walked in, was there was I think it was a group in the children's village performing dance. And so it was really, really cool. I mean, obviously the crowd's very supportive. The kids are out there. It was a gorgeous day. It couldn't have been hardly any better than that.
So lucky.
It wasn't that hard,
right? In Nebraska, you never know. But it was absolutely perfect. And what's neat is not only can the kids show off their culture, or my guess is some of those kids may just be learning that culture for the first time and learning those a more traditional dance or something that is unfamiliar to them, and then sharing that, and also in a space that is so encouraging that you can feel comfortable getting out there and performing a dance in front of a bunch of people, because that's got to be kind of hard for kids sometimes too. But it was so encouraging. Just everything was just awesome.
I tell you what, I mean, there's something about just connecting to your roots that you will feel when you're there. Like every time when that drum start beating, or sometimes the music, you can feel chill.
Oh yeah.
So even a kid that was born here, it's like when they hear that, that experience is very unique. That's what I wish everybody can have, you know. And if you have somebody, we're all neighbors, right? You have a neighbor that is from the diaspora, African diaspora. You want to better understand them, just come to Afro Fest, you know. And then there's so many ways, you know, to support this organization. There's so many ways to also make sure that we explain to the next generation. While we are working to get the Afro diaspora kid to come there, if you're an American, you can also send your kid just so he understand, you know, these new neighbors, because we are meant to live together. You know, we here, and then we all are the same people. And what a better way to share culture, food, and everything, right? Absolutely. So I saw you as soon as he got there. He sent me a picture. He's like, "Oh, chef, I got food already. I'm eating." I was like, Dave, you haven't even had the food yet. You know, you got to come have my food. You know? So yeah, so.
I was very thankful for the food vendors, though, because it was priced at a point that I could try a bunch of things for a decent price. Nice. And I stopped at 3 different places before I came to see you, Chef. So Chima was there, and I miss her having her restaurant. But she still got the food truck, still rocking it. I got some punch from her, and there was another group. I got some jollof and some beef skewers, beef patty, and a puff puff. In this case, a savory puff puff. So those are all the things like I had before I came to see you. I think I did okay. I made it out. And then, of course, you sent me with a to-go box, because
there you go.
So yes, I did. I had to send it to go box, you know, because I was really trying to this year for us for Hasselblad Foundation. Not only what we did in the Children Education Village, what we did, Dave, I'm going to let you just maybe tell people what you saw yourself inside of me.
Sure.
And saying what it was. But I wanted to bring the West African street grilling out there at Afro Fest, the art of making suya.
Yes,
that's what we're trying to.
And that was in the Google VIP experience area.
Yes, indeed.
So I very humbly was invited into the VIP area. Chef was hard at work getting things ready to go. So I came in, and there's a nice area with tables and umbrellas, stage going on. There was a alcohol tasting there, so I got a really nice little tasting of some tequila there, which I enjoy very much. But while I was doing that, so you had like 2 rotisseries, both with full lamb on them. So I have to say, and if you go look on the Saturday Omaha social media, there's some pictures there, and I'll try to get a few more up there too, because I think I have some video. But the fact that, like, I mean, you had a full lamb on each one of those, and then before serving, you broke it down and everything and served it. So it was like, holy cow. And then, like, full flat tops or grills worth of chicken there going on, and you had plantains, and we had rice, and just everything was delicious. And that suya, did you make that?
Yes.
Okay, so for those that aren't familiar, so you and I got to talk a little bit there. Yes. So this is a seasoning, a spice mix, in this case with a crushed peanut base, correct?
Yes.
And then I know you said other seasonings in there, but I don't know what you can like declare if this is secret House of Ba information. But like, kind of tell me about the food that you prepared there as well.
Yes. So for the Google VIP experience, we wanted to just create something that would remind people of Africa. And they said the thing was do suya, like the way they do it. I was looking for barrel. In Africa we use barrel to make it. That's what we do. But then I was like, wait a minute, I want to have the whole lamb.
Yeah.
So I decided to just go and do a whole lamb. So I got like a hog roaster, and then that's what I use. And then I just put those 2 lamb. I thought it was too much, but Dave, I tell you what, there was nothing left to the bone.
It was
nothing left. You know what I mean? So, and then we had some, what we call usually coleco or called root, right, with some plantain. We had jollof also then in the sauce, the shito sauce that you love so much.
Yeah.
You know, it got a kick, but, you know.
Yes, it does.
But the suya, I don't know how to describe it. I cannot have West African street barbecue without suya, and we typically use lamb. That's why I was able to. Lucky enough, you can get halal lamb, you know, in Omaha. So that's what I did. So it's a mix of what you can call, we call it yazi back home in Central Togo.
If I recall, yazi spice, and every family has their own yazi spice.
Every
right?
family from the whole. I mean, the whole Africa.
Yeah.
The whole Africa. Every family that have the spice mix, the spice blend, which change, like I told you, based on what you have.
Yeah.
Right. But when you do it right, and then add that crushed peanut, you know. So and then when you put on lamb, I'm telling you, man, you know. So that's what suya is. Suya is in Hausa. That's what we call the suya bread. We just call it suya in the whole West Africa. So that was the highlight I would say this year for people that were there, for the kid to even. I actually, fun fact, a friend of ours came to the VIP area. He had it, and then he stepped out, came back later on and said, "Dude, I want to buy it." I was like, well, in the VIP area, we're actually just feeding the VIP. We're not actually selling it. But it's like, listen, it's not for me, but it's for my parent. They're visiting from Togo.
Oh my goodness!
They can smell it from here. I was like, okay, you know what? For your parent, don't worry. I'm not selling it. I made it just like some portion for them. And then I'm telling you, these, you know, mom and pop walk probably like in the 70s, walk toward me to thank me. Like, we just been living, we've been visiting for a month now, and you gave us today a taste of Africa.
Yeah.
And you gave us something, you know, just the smell of it.
Yes.
You can tell. So I was really happy that was a highlight of the day for me, to have, you know, people that can be my parents come to me and say, he gave us a taste of something, you know. So that's what we want to introduce kids to. Those flavor, those, you know, smell and stuff like that, you know. So yeah, and thank you too, by the way. He jumped on the grill, you know, helped a little bit with that.
I just walked next to the grill. That's as close as I got. And then I ate food, and it was really, really good. And the lamb was awesome. I think sometimes people get a little worried about lamb that's going to be gamey or something like that. No. Not in any way. The seasoning, you actually had brought over some additional suya for me to try, or they gave me some on the side, I think is what it was. Yes. And so I just tried that straight by itself, because I was like, oh my gosh, like what's in here? So good. And then the preparation on the lamb and the chicken, did you like marinate it, or is it just the spices and then rotisserie?
No, actually, good question right there. The chicken was a jerk chicken, marinated, you know, at least 24 hours, and left in the walk-in cooler.
Gotcha.
To soak all that. The lamb 2 days. Putting all that seasoning on it and let it also marinate for a couple of days, so everything is juicy. The key thing is to get young lamb. Don't get a lamb that's too old. You know, that's the key thing. You know, so the meat is more tender, juicy. You know, but also if you marinate it well, it's a whole process. It's a whole. But I think it was worth it, because I wanted to really show people what Africa food is like, what African barbecue is like, and then also break down stereotype. So yeah, that was the key right there. And the chicken, you know, I mean, for me, what makes, of course you know this, you know, because you're a chef also, you cook, you like to cook. It's like an artist. He Joubel, you know, feels his soul and his heart when he create those moments, you know, when he create those experience, right? He does this through Afro Fest. He does also what we call Omaha Diversity Experience, where he created like an Afro vibe nightlife in Omaha. That's what makes him happy. For me, when I get to share this experience with people, remind people of Africa, whether through education, whether through the food that I serve, that's what makes me happy also. And then I think Afro Fest is the biggest platform that we have right here, open air, where people can come, you know, 5,000, 6,000 people, 7,000 people to come and enjoy that. So that's important that we work together, and that's why we, to all the listening, all the corporate that are in Omaha and that are keen on inclusion, keen on diversity, keen on bringing people together, bridging gaps. If you're looking for an event, if you're looking for something to support, you know, Afrofest is that thing, because you are not just supporting the organizer, but you are creating opportunity for a whole city, a whole city, you know, no matter who you are, you know, no matter about, you know, black and white, brown, all that, to just learn more about this Afro diasporic, you know, culture, you know.
Yeah.
And
the highlights for you, we talked about the dancing was awesome. Some MCs get up there. The pantry was great. Immigrant services, all sorts of stuff. But maybe what are some other highlights or art or things that you really enjoyed or that you saw out there too?
Yeah, especially this year, new location was a little challenging to bring the vendors over there. But at the end of the day, we saw that the vendors had a great time settling in the space. And for us, besides education, is also the economic impact of those art and craft vendors in the city. Those are people who not necessarily have a full-blown business going on, but being able to bring some of those items, the bubu, the African long robe, the jewelry and stuff, and art to sell at the and that's when we give them a platform to sell those items. Those are the highlights for me because they are infusing money into Omaha economy.
Sure.
And it's just a beautiful thing for us to highlight those moments as well. Beside that, we have the connectors. The connectors are the small service-based businesses based here. Those are the real estate agents. Those are the healthcare people and so on. So we create a platform for them as well. So seeing them also thrive in those spaces and making connection, because otherwise, with the smaller budget, we say small business, but with great vision, right? Great mind. But the platform of 5,000 people give them access to potential clients. So for us, being able to be the bridge between those small businesses and the public, that was the highlight for me, this year. They were happy, the team went around, talked to them, and, connecting with the audience, celebrating themselves, having fun, doing those things. Beside them, the well-established corporation like Lozier Corporation, Lozier Foundation was there, Nebraska Furniture Mart with the photo booth, Greater Omaha. All these companies were there. They were happy as well. They were able to, because they have a lot of African employees and other employees, like Jamil was saying, the bridge, right? So having everybody come celebrate other people's culture makes you understand them better.
Yes.
And for those companies, it also adds value to the company's culture as well. That, you respect those employees and you celebrate the culture by celebrating something like Afro Fest. So those are the highlight for me, and it was beautiful again this year.
Yeah.
I think if I were to add something to that, just what you said, I've seen some people grow with Afro Fest. I've seen how they started at the first edition and where they are right now.
Yeah.
Some people, work hard on the business. Some people push themselves into this because they see it as an opportunity, right? Because they have a market now. At the beginning, they might think that I don't have a market. Who can I sell my product to? Because I am focused on the Afro diaspora. But AfroFest allows them to test out the product, to test out the audience, and then go back and come back every year. And then you see the difference in what they bring and what they do and the confidence year after year. I can name, a food and industry person that I know that grew with AfroFest, and then now they do more than just. So that's another component that we could talk about. That economic opportunity that they create for all the vendors that come there is great. They say we even have, and it's not just only African vendors, African American vendors. So when we talk about AfroFest, just for everybody, right? It's open to although even if you have a product that you think people can buy, you can come to AfroFest. You don't have to necessarily be African or African diaspora, from the African diaspora. You can. It's open to everybody. So it's important that we mention this because I know we all talk about it. We all preach it to everyone, even like in our schools. For me, what I would love to see for the years to come is just like see involvement from even like our schools to say, okay, what can we do to send our students to AfroFest? What can we do to just, make sure that they go experience that and come back and do a field trip also?
That would be amazing.
You know what I mean? Like imagine just like, a college, a middle school, a high school.
Yeah.
Or to say, this year, let's make sure that all of you guys, we teach you all this in history, in geography, or social study. but come experience all that at Afro Fest.
Oh, yeah.
That's really, for me, if I were a teacher, I would just say, my daughter this year helped out, and then she actually made some announcement at the Buffett Middle School. The principal, even bought tickets and came, and then we got some basketball player from Iowa Western Community College, basketball team. So that's what we want to. That's what's going to make a difference. We need people to get involved in Afrofest, in talking about it, sharing the message, and involving, the whole corporate, the whole school, So that's what we're hoping that anybody listen to this that has an idea or thinking that, what is that place? Because back in the people will go to museums to want to just get a little feel of something.
Sure.
If I want to know more about Native American, I'll go to a museum that has Native American history. Or if there's a Native American festival in town, I better go to that because I'm going to learn more. Now, this is your opportunity. It's the only African festival in Omaha that is not outdoor, with food, music, art, and everything together. So
and you bring up a really good point too, is that with Afrofest you are getting all of those five senses. It's not just, I'm not just reading in a book or seeing it, but I am seeing people representing the culture. I'm meeting those humans and connecting with them. I get to try the food. I get to smell the food. I get to, see the dances. I get to hear the music. All of these things is that full experience. And I think that direct interaction and connection builds familiarity.
Oh, yes.
And in a much bigger way than just reading a book, which, read, yes, do those things. But this takes it to a different level and a more familiar level. So.
Completely. Yeah, it does. And then I think I've yet to somebody that has gone to Afrofest to experience everything. And then, it's like, I'm not just seeing a movie, I'm living the movie.
Right.
You get a glimpse of am I just in Africa for a while?
Yeah.
You were in the Midwest. Omaha, Nebraska, right? And that's what we're trying to bring you here, and that's why we at Hasselblad Foundation also from Omaha, saw a synergy between this, and that's why I like to partner with them. That's why I like to be involved, and then do all that I can to help this happen. Because for me, I feel like what I'm passionate about as a chef or as a non-profit founder, Afrofest or Saturday helps me achieve those goal.
Sure.
That's why if you're doing something, I like to be involved in it. That's why I like to come to your show. That's why I want you to come cook with us. So you have a platform for us. So I need to support and talk about those venues, those channels that help us do our job.
Yeah.
So Afrofest is one of them, and then I think we have to do all that we can in this city to help it stay in Omaha, help it grow further. I know this year you are really, really growing a lot because it's not only Omaha, Dave. Afrofest Minnesota's coming up next.
Hey.
Afrofest Dallas there. Wow. Afrofest
Nashville. We'll add Nashville next year.
Yeah. So he's expanding that to create the same opportunities in other states. So now,
wonderful.
If you live in Omaha, you have it. Or if you live in Minnesota, you're gonna have it because we see the need. I think that we need to find those opportunities that really allows people to get to know other culture, and like I said, feel those five sensory, right?
Yeah.
And then make up their own mind and realize that we're all just same people.
Absolutely.
And then we all just vibe to the same, vibe, root, music, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I think it's important.
The other Afrofests that are happening in different states, are these all extending from what started in Omaha?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
That's wonderful. So, so kind of the genesis of this thing. So, wow, tell me a little bit more about that.
2018 when we started this, we didn't know we'll grow this to this level. We started 2018. We had I think 500 or 600 people. Was success. We were blown away.
Yeah.
And then now we bring in 5,000 people together, 6,000, 2,000 kids 12 and under.
Yeah.
And some of the because it's not just me, it's not just Jamil. Behind us, it takes a village. There's the whole team.
Yeah.
The co-founder, Judy, is an amazing person as well. She's in Kenya right now. And through that, the people who help us, some of them live in other states. So they were like, this is so great and needed that they need to do the same thing in the city they live in. And that is Minneapolis first, Dallas. So that was just a talk. Until last year, Google through Google Global Social Network reach out. They were one of our sponsors. They were like, hey, how can you support? They came, they loved it. They thought it was great. It was amazing. So they were like, how can they support this event go to other states? Because they have their data center in Nashville and Dallas. And they were like, oh, this is great because, although it's a lot of work, there's a lot of work. It takes a lot of resources. We're still fighting for resources, financial resource and even human. But they were like, okay, they'll help a little bit. They're like, sure. If you can help a little bit, we'll reach out to our partners in those cities and make it happen. So that's where it started. Afro Fest, the concept is wide open in the United States. There's Afro Fest Canada. We don't have any relation with those, but the concept that we have here in Omaha, which the chef described, that you witness yourself, which is the five senses, right? The food, the education, economical impact. That's very unique to what we started here. The entertainment part. So there's entertainment, there's education, there's the business part. So those and the children educational area, those four areas is very unique to Omaha that we're trying to duplicate in other states. Yeah.
Because I think that's important to mention right here. Because a lot of time when people do like anything that's to do like African festival or Afro something, it's more so music and food. That's what we focus on because we just here to have a good time.
Sure.
That's good. We're nothing.
Great start.
Yeah, great start. Nothing is that. But I think Afro Fest Omaha. And then the one to follow focus also beyond that. What is the education part? Right, it's important that we educate the kid for the next generation. I think to us that's what I like about it, and we try to selectively bring people that will feature that. And that I would say really, I think that's something that we cannot talk enough about because it makes it that stands out.
That's the
vendors, you can see all that kind of thing everywhere, but the educational part for me, the fact that it's free for kids 12 and under, and also you have a whole section dedicated to that generation. It's important.
Absolutely. Well, and what's kind of neat is sometimes we always say, things start on the coast in the U.S. and then come to Nebraska. I love the fact that it's starting here and going out because I think, quite often I think Midwesterners are very humble. We don't always like to brag about ourselves a little bit, but you know what? Sometimes we need to brag about ourselves a little bit, and we need to, start, set those, start a spark that then starts a movement or an event or those things. And that is wonderful. I love the fact that that's growing out from Nebraska, not just coming to Nebraska. So
thanks, Dave.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
I mean, these guys put a lot of work into this. You know what I mean? So I can't tell you how many things. And him being so creative, he does everything from everything. Stay up late. 3 a.m. in the morning. We're still on group chat. Talking about this and that stuff like that. But I think it's worth it.
It is worth it.
And it's not easy to do Afro Fest. It's
it's a big event.
It's and sometimes the financial support is hard over there. Shout out to all the organizations that are helping. And I think just from somebody that see value in this perspective, I would just say anybody listening, and a lot of people listen to this, and then if you have a way to help this, whether the donation or whether it's knowing somebody they can introduce us to, I think reach out to Afro Omaha, reach out to Asaba Foundation, because we are the physical sponsor for Afro Fest, and see whatever you can do to make sure that this event happen. We love that.
How does a person get in touch with you guys, help out with general events, or maybe have a booth at AfroFest 2025? Because I'm assuming that's happening.
Oh, it's happening.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and will it probably be in August, September type time frame again?
Yep. So AfroFest Omaha 2025 will be at the Heartland of America Park.
Excellent.
And it will be Sunday again, because we used to do it on Saturday, but Sunday, we discovered Sunday is actually the best day to do this because everybody comes. Last day is Labor Day weekend, Monday. You don't have school or work, and family can come, and so that's why we notice an increase in attendance this year doing it on a Sunday.
Nice.
So Afro Omaha, we are a for-profit.
Okay.
Hasselbach Foundation is a non-profit.
Got it.
But they are our fiscal sponsor.
Yeah.
How to contact us? The website www.afromaha.com is where people can contact us. There's a contact form over there, or email afromaha@gmail.com. And for sponsorship, we are available for sponsorship. People want to get booths, same thing. All the information will be on the website for people to reach out. We also have social media, same thing, on Instagram, Afromaha, Facebook, Afromaha.
So Afrofest 2024 stops, and 2025 probably kicks off like right after that.
Right after, actually, has already started. It started this week, and we'll start doing sending out emails and thank yous and meetings and so on next week. We also have an event coming up. Real quick, it ties into Afro Fest actually.
Oh, cool.
It's the Afro Excellence Gala.
Okay.
So that gala is where we thank those who help us, those who support the movement of Afro Fest. It will be at Highlander venue.
Okay.
North 75th, right? 75 North. 75 North, yes.
On 30th Street.
On 30th Street. So it's coming. We'll have
long-time listeners to the show. Look for Big Mama's, look for Best Burger, and look for Hearty Coffee. That's
there
where
you
you
go.
need to be.
There you go.
Yes.
Right there.
Yeah.
Right there. So we'll have more information about that. It's coming up, and next year, jumping over here a little bit, but next year we'll do the African Fashion Week. That's another conversation for another time.
Yeah.
There's so many things to talk about, Dave. So MCC now is our partner, educational partner for African Fashion Week.
Oh, fantastic.
So at Afro Fest, they had the new area that we designed just for them. It's called the Innovators Hub.
Okay.
In that area, we had the African Fashion Week booth where we showcase some of the fashion. There's a video that we send you that show kind of like you say you went there, saw people dressing, to the knot or the traditional outfit. So we highlighted that over there in that area. So for African Fashion Week, again with the education, we talk about the functional fashion. There's a whole segment about that. The hair, why people braid their hair a certain way, why there's a certain color based on different areas in Africa. The textile, why this color, the kente, for people know kente from Ghana, why there's color, and why the Zulu wear the head crown, or how the Zulu wear it. Things like that. That's what we highlight during the fashion. There's a theme. This year was Afro Renaissance. Next year will be Afrofuturism.
Nice.
So now that we discover ourselves, the Renaissance rebirth, let's look into the future of the African fashion. So it's coming up.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. Tell you that he has so many things that, he just popping up right there.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. It's just about, it's a holistic approach of everything. And then also being intentional about making sure that it's always about education. Same here. He's trying to do it through art and all that. I'm trying to do it to food.
Yeah.
So
that's what because the same thing that I realize here is the same thing he realized. We both saw the same void in our lens, through our lens, and now we're trying to just bring all that together and make sure that people experience the whole thing.
And that experience, and you had mentioned the difference of, say, Afrofest versus a museum. Museum looking at the past, and while you need to show the past and understand the past, like you're mentioning with the Renaissance section, and then moving to the future, Africa is now, and Africa is in the future, as well as in the past. All of those things, and to be able to experience the living, breathing, real people, now culture that is happening is just wonderful. And Chef Jamil, every time I talk to you, I am connected to a new experience or something that I just was completely unaware of, and I love it. And this is yet another thing. When for the graduation dinner that we're at, you and I had talked on the microphones, and we were talking about how a lot of times immigrant families have challenges for like large events in venues around town, and some venues don't allow traditional food, or I don't even want to say like traditional food that is not familiar to the venue, because it's current food that people are cooking at home, and it's like, okay, well, and so being able to normalize and being able to really just educate and experience, because the other thing is, man, if some venue comes over and tastes your food, chef, I don't know how you cannot serve any of that food, man, because, wow, that's good.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Shout out to Even Hotel Downtown. They actually allowed me to cater for an event, actually, last week for the Immigrant Legal Center.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Speaking about that, that's exactly what it is. They have a group of people that have traveled the world, work a lot with immigrants, and they wanted to have an event here, and then they send it to the hotel, but they wanted somebody that can provide something. And they say, you know what, we can't make this. Why don't we have somebody that can actually provide everything, right? And Dave, I'm telling you, everybody, right? And the beauty is that when people that are American come to me and they say, oh man, I live in Senegal, I was in the Peace Corps, I live in Rwanda, I live in Ghana, I have this, and then now this food, it takes me back there. That's what I'm talking about, right? And Dave, you're right. I tell people that when I say I'm cooking African food, quote unquote, I don't just go to Africa bring the ingredients.
Right.
I can go to any grocery store here in Omaha, Nebraska, cook you African food. It's just food that you know.
Yeah.
It's just that the spice is different. And when I say spice, we're not talking about spicy. We talked about this on the show last time.
Because people get scared about people use that word spicy. We're talking about flavor, people. Flavor.
We're not talking about heat. And if I ever give you heat, it's not going to just be the heat. It's going to be flavor behind it.
No question.
You're going to understand. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm really trying my best right now to educate not only the African diaspora, educate also the ones that wants to be a future chef, but the community. Right? I'm working with like a Tri-Fit. I'm working with like a Countryside Church, through what we call the Eat and Talk Africa series. That's what we did right there at the Afro Fest.
Africa.
Yeah, so introduce you to African food, get you to know more about it, and then change your concept and your mindset on it. That's what we're doing. Also, I am working on something that is really, really cool. I think I can talk about it here because it was going to happen, but it didn't happen this summer. But Dave, there is a class that chefs, I will see if you have time, that chefs in Omaha can sign up to through Metropolitan Community College. They were calling it African Culinary Academy for Professional.
Cool.
It's going to be a 6 to 8 week course that's going to focus on the 5 African culinary regions. So now if somebody works at XYZ restaurant or XYZ hotel, they can come and learn this cuisine, and they can decide what to do with it. During that week, Fig Restaurant at the Illuminarium, they feature one of my dish. It went so well. Awesome. Now they're asking me if they can do it again. It's just that, Dave. We just want to introduce those food, because I believe that when you like somebody's food, it's hard to hate them. And as a two immigrant here, living in this country now, what we can give back is that. Let people know. So we try to normalize the culture in general. He's doing it with Afro Fest. Normalize something that people don't know about. If you see people dance on TV to Discovery Channel, you're like, what are they doing? But now if you come to Afro Fest, you can come close and say, what does that mean? What is the reason behind it? What's the significance behind it? So he's normalizing that, educating people about it. I'm doing the same with food. That's why the same business around here. So we just two, African passionate living in Omaha, Nebraska, and then just want to give the Midwest something to cherish and something to discover and then learn to know more about,
Well, I can definitely tell you that you two gentlemen have given me something to cherish. It was wonderful experiencing Afro Fest. And you had also said, when you were talking about cooking in the VIP tent, and you had that family, I think it was from Togo, that came in, the visitors, right? And you put a big smile on their face, and how you were able to share even outside of the audience that was right there. Well, you had sent me the to-go box, which we had talked about earlier in this episode. So I took that home to my son, because obviously I had a lot of food that day. He demolished that whole thing. So know that not only this conversation, Joubel and Jamil, that we're having here is getting out to people's ears out there and bringing Afro Fest to others, but that food also made it outside of the perimeter of the VIP. Exactly.
So now he knows what it tastes like. He knows what it feels. And then if you're young, next year, just sign up as a volunteer for Afro Fest. That's another way to also be part of it. You don't have to be from the African diaspora. Your son can sign up and say want to help, and then leave that and then see what it is and stuff like that. So that's the beauty about it. And I'm glad that, and this is a testimony to every listener, that when we're talking about African food, it's not just something to be scared about. It's just the same thing. It's your chicken, it's your rice, it's your lamb, it's your potato, it's your pasta, it's your bread. It's the same food, y'all. It's just that we put a little love and flavor to it.
From the motherland.
From the motherland. That's what we just trying to do. And then Dave, thank you for providing the opportunity, and thank you for being curious enough, because when I ask you, you could have said, I don't know, but being the food lover that you are, the art lover that you are, you're like, let me check it out, so
absolutely. Thank
you. And then it's important that we have people like you that can come and then become ambassadors, and be able to express it. And the only reason why we're doing this is to be able to bring people this love for the food, to get them to see it. And as I tell Folly, every time that I have an opportunity to present my food, offer food to people that are not African, I'm more excited about it.
Sure.
Because I want to convert them. I want to change their mindset. I want them to go back and say, oh, wow, this is great. And then I love it. And then the goal is for us to have listeners, I know a lot of people listen to your show, especially people that are in the food industry. If you don't know about this, reach out to us. If you have question, if you still have doubt, if you're afraid to introduce those cuisine in your establishment, just reach out to us. Just let me or your chef just dance in the kitchen for a minute. Let them taste this. And then you'll be surprised that, what? I don't gotta be afraid of this. You'll be surprised that your patron will like this. I've done this at the Switch. I've done this at Flatiron. I've done this at Le Voltaire. I've done this at Fig. I've done this at Sage Bistro Omaha. I've done this at Creighton. And now even hotel now. It's changing a little bit, and people are embracing. People are loving it. Africa's now. So just embrace it.
This isn't the last time we're going to have any of this.
No, we'll be back. Thanks so much, Dave. You appreciate the platform. Seriously, we love the fact that, like Chef said, you were there, you experienced it. Thank you. Thank you to all the listeners. And if you haven't been to Afro Fest, make plans and see you next year.
I will even say before next year.
Oh, yeah, the gala.
The gala, Afro Excellence Gala, and also this African Fashion Week. And then if you are a nightlife, lover, look up for Omaha Diversity Experience, nightlife event. And then, or better yet, if you want to taste the food, make sure that you check out Asaba Foundation or Asaba.com as well, And then we have caption coming up, right? There's a lot of things that we will do. And stay tuned and then discover Africa with us.
Joubel Teko and Chef Jamil Bah-Traore, thank you guys so much for coming to visit with me in studio. Thank you for putting on Afro Fest. And as we say, until we eat again, stay hungry. Bye.
Our show is recorded and produced by Saturday Omaha. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, as well as email SaturdayOmaha@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, and stay hungry.
Saturday Omaha.
Eat this.